I was almost arrested after a drunken night with a girl went wrong. Have you ever had one of those nights where everything feels like it's going too well? Like the universe is setting you up for a fall just to keep the balance? That was me. Friday night, downtown LA, me and my buddy Liam. We'd both had hellish weeks, so when he hit me up with, "Let's hit the city," I didn't hesitate. We ended up at this new rooftop bar, something trendy with overpriced drinks and neon lights. The kind of place that makes you forget your problems, at least until your credit card bill arrives. The drinks were flowing faster than I could keep count, and at some point, Liam wandered off with a girl he swore was a model. I didn't care. I had found my own distraction. Her name was Mia. Long black hair, dark eyes, and a smile that could wreck a man. She wasn't just beautiful. She had that chaotic energy that pulled you in, the kind that screams trouble, but you follow anyway. We clicked instantly. We drank, danced, laughed at things I don't even remember anymore. One moment we were doing tequila shots, the next we were sitting at a booth in the back corner, her hand on my thigh, whispering something that made my brain short-circuit. I was wasted, but I wasn't stupid. I knew this night was going to end up either really great or really awful. We left the bar around 2 a.m. The streets were mostly empty except for other drunk people stumbling out of clubs. Mia grabbed my hand and said, "Let's keep the night going." I nodded like an idiot, and we jumped into the back of a rideshare she ordered. I didn't even ask where we were going. We ended up at a sleek, modern apartment complex in Hollywood Hills. She had this key fob, swiped us in, and just like that, we were in what looked like a $2 million condo. Expensive art, leather couches, floor-to-ceiling windows. It didn't fit the image of a girl who said she worked at a dive bar in Echo Park. "Your place?" I asked. She giggled. "Sort of. Let's just say the owner's out of town." I should have taken that as a warning sign, but again, drunk, not smart. We ended up in the bedroom within 10 minutes, tangled in sheets, music playing low from her phone. Everything was fast, messy, and blurred at the edges. She was wild. 1 second laughing, the next sobbing quietly against my chest. I asked her if she was okay. She nodded and kissed me again. Eventually, I passed out, fully clothed, half on the bed, phone in my hand. The kind of blackout sleep that only comes after 8 drinks and 2 shots of regret. I woke up the next morning to the sound of someone yelling. It wasn't Mia. It was a man's voice, deep, angry, getting louder with every second. I sat up, groggy and disoriented. Mia was gone. I was alone in the bedroom. Footsteps thudded down the hall. I looked around. My wallet was still on the nightstand, but my heart dropped when I noticed the open door, and then the man who stormed in. He was in his 40s, built like a linebacker, and holding a baseball bat. "Who the hell are you?" That's when it all hit me at once. I was in someone else's house, with no idea how I got there, wearing yesterday's clothes, and staring down a man who looked ready to kill me. I don't know what woke me up faster, the yelling or the cold fear that crashed over me the moment I realized I wasn't supposed to be there. "Answer me," the man barked, stepping closer with the bat raised. I scrambled back onto the bed, my hands up, heart pounding, like it was trying to break out of my chest. Wait, I can explain," I stammered. "Who are you? Where's Mia?" he growled. I blinked. "She brought me here. Last night. We met at a bar. She said this was her place." "Bullshot," he snapped. "This is my place, and there's no one named Mia who lives here." I couldn't breathe. My thoughts were moving in slow motion, like I was trying to run underwater. What the hell was happening? Had she lied to me about everything? Was this a setup? "I swear, man, I'm not here to rob you or anything. I didn't even know where I was when I woke up." He didn't swing the bat, but he didn't lower it either. I could tell he didn't believe a word I said, and honestly, if our roles were reversed, I wouldn't have either. "Don't move," he ordered, pulling out his phone with his free hand. "What are you doing?" I asked, still frozen on the bed. "Calling the cops." "Please, don't. Just let me leave. I'll get out right now. No trouble." Too late for that. I was screwed. The police arrived in less than 10 minutes. 2 officers, 1 male and 1 female. They walked in tense, like they expected to find a dead body. The man, whose name I would later learn was Trevor, immediately launched into a story about how he'd returned from an out-of-town work trip to find a stranger sleeping in his bed. That stranger being me. I have no idea how he got in. Nothing stolen, but he was inside my locked apartment. "And you don't know him?" the female officer asked. "Never seen him before in my life." The officers turned to me. "Sir, can you tell us what happened?" My voice cracked. I met this girl Mia at a bar downtown. She brought me here, swiped us in with a fob, said it was her place." "Mia what?" the male officer asked. I I don't know her last name. Do you have any messages from her? Texts? Photos? I pulled out my phone with shaking hands. Nothing. No texts, no selfies, not even a contact, like she'd been erased from my life completely. I guess I didn't save her number. The cops exchanged glances. It looked bad, real bad. The woman stepped aside and started asking Trevor some more questions. The male cop stayed with me. Do you know how you got here? We took a rideshare. She ordered it. Do you remember the driver? Or which app? I think it was Uber, maybe Lyft. I don't know. I was really drunk. Of course you were, he muttered. And just when I thought things couldn't get worse, Trevor walked back in holding a photo frame. This her? He asked. He shoved the photo in my face. It was of him, smiling with his arm around a girl. It was Mia. Or, not Mia. In the photo, she looked different, cleaner, happier. But it was definitely her. That's her, I exclaimed. That's the girl. She brought me here. Trevor's eyes went dark. That's my daughter. I froze. My mouth went dry. Your daughter? She's been in and out of rehab for the past year. Said she was staying with her mother this weekend. I suddenly felt like the floor disappeared under me. The officers stared at me in silence. This was no longer just a misunderstanding. It was about to become something far worse. I sat on the edge of that stranger's bed, feeling like the walls were closing in. Every second dragged like an hour. The cops were quiet now, talking to each other in low tones by the hallway. Trevor, the angry father, paced near the kitchen, gripping that photo like it was the only thing keeping him together. She's his daughter, I whispered to myself, trying to make sense of the chaos. Why would she say this was her place? The realization hit hard. Maybe she didn't want me to know the truth. Maybe she was just using me to get in, or maybe she wasn't right in the head. The female officer walked back into the room and knelt in front of me. Look, she said calmly, right now this could go one of two ways, but it all depends on how honest you are. Did you know who she was? Did you break in? No, I said immediately, louder than I meant to. I swear, I didn't know. She acted like it was her place. She had the key fob. She knew the layout, everything. She even played music on a speaker, like she'd been there before. And you're saying you never met her before last night? Never. I swear she exchanged a glance with her partner. He still didn't look convinced. Trevor stepped in again. So let me get this straight, he said, voice sharp. You're telling me you just randomly went home with a girl you didn't know, blacked out in my house, and then magically forgot her last name? Yes, I said. That's exactly what happened. I didn't even know where I was when I woke up. You think I planned this? Trevor stared at me like he wanted to punch a hole in my chest. She's been in trouble before, he muttered to the cops. Took things from me, snuck into places she wasn't supposed to be. This isn't the first time. That gave the officers pause. The male officer asked, What's her name? Emily, Trevor said bitterly. Her real name is Emily. Emily, not Mia, not even close. The woman officer raised an eyebrow. You said she struggled with substance use? Trevor nodded. And lying, and disappearing for days. So it's possible she used your place without your permission, the male cop offered. And this man didn't know any better. I didn't, I said, trying to stay calm. I know it sounds stupid, but I genuinely thought she lived here. She acted like it. Please believe me. Trevor didn't say anything for a moment. His jaw clenched, his eyes wet with frustration, more than anger now. I felt bad for him. He wasn't just mad. He was scared. Scared for his daughter. Scared she might be worse off than he thought. The cop stepped aside to speak in private. I sat alone, staring at the photo frame Trevor had left on the coffee table. She looked so different in it, like the version of her that never made it to that bar. The version her dad still believed he could save. After what felt like an hour, the officers came back. Here's what we're gonna do, the woman said. You're not being charged. Trevor's not pressing charges, for now, but you'll need to give us a statement, and we're filing a report in case anything comes up later. I nodded like my neck was on autopilot. And you need to leave the property, immediately. I didn't argue. I grabbed my phone, my keys, and the last shreds of dignity I had left. Trevor watched me like a hawk as I walked out. I half expected him to swing the bat at my back, but he didn't. And just like that, I was back out on the street, sunlight burning into my skull, wondering how the hell the night had spiraled so far out of control. I walked for blocks without even knowing where I was going. The streets were quiet, the morning haze just starting to burn off under the California sun. Every step felt Like it echoed through the city, like the world had paused just long enough for me to process what the hell had just happened. I wasn't in handcuffs, but I didn't feel free either. That fear of being mistaken for someone dangerous, of getting locked up for something I didn't do, was still clawing at my insides. I finally ducked into a cafe and ordered black coffee, my hands still shaking as I handed over my card. I sat in the farthest booth, trying to calm down, trying to breathe. I played the night over and over in my head like a broken film reel. Her name wasn't Mia. She was Emily, Trevor's daughter, a girl in trouble who had dragged me into her mess without a second thought. Or maybe she didn't even realize what she was doing. Maybe she was lost in her own world, one filled with half-truths, fake names, and whatever she needed to feel in control. I couldn't stop asking myself, was I just a ride for the night, a prop, or was she looking for something real and just couldn't face it? I pulled out my phone again, hoping maybe I had missed a message, a follow-up, a sign she wasn't a ghost, but there was nothing. No number, no social media tag, not even a photo together. Like she had been airbrushed out of reality the moment I opened my eyes that morning. I wanted to be angry. At her, at myself, at Trevor, at fate. But instead, I just felt tired. Worn out in a way that no amount of sleep could fix. Liam finally called around 10 a.m. "Dude, where the hell are you? You disappeared last night." "Long story," I said, rubbing my eyes. "You wouldn't believe me if I told you." "Try me." So I told him. Everything. The bar, the ride, the apartment, the bat, the cops. The part about her being the guy's daughter nearly made him choke on his Red Bull. "Holy shit, man," he said. "You're lucky to be alive, or not in jail." "Yeah, I know. But, like, are you okay?" I hesitated. "I don't know." He was quiet for a second, then said, "Listen. Come by my place. We'll figure it out. At the very least, you need a shower and probably a tetanus shot." I laughed for the first time all morning. It felt weird, out of place, but I needed it. I headed to Liam's place, still numb. He didn't ask a ton of questions, just handed me a clean towel, a hoodie, and a look that said, "You really stepped in it this time." We spent the afternoon just chilling, playing video games, watching dumb YouTube clips. It helped, distracted me from the storm that had been my night, but part of me was still stuck there, in that stranger's house, with that girl, that mystery. That's when my phone buzzed, a new message. "Unknown number. I'm sorry. For everything." My heart stopped. It was her, Mia, Emily. Whatever her real name was, she was real, and she hadn't forgotten. I showed Liam the text. He leaned back on the couch. "So, what now?" I stared at the screen, my thumb hovering over the keyboard. What now, indeed? Do I block her and move on? Or do I try to understand why she did what she did? What would you do? Because I knew one thing for sure. This story wasn't over yet. I stared at that message for a long time. Just 4 words. "I'm sorry. For everything." But it felt like they weighed 100 pounds. I didn't know what I wanted more. Answers, closure, or to just forget the whole damn thing ever happened. Eventually, I typed, "Where are you?" She replied a few minutes later. "Somewhere safe." I just needed to say that. I wanted to scream. She didn't answer the question. She didn't explain anything. And yet, I could feel the weight. Behind her words. Guilt, maybe. Regret. Or maybe just her way of admitting that what she did could have ruined my life. I texted back, "You almost got me arrested. I didn't even know your real name." No reply. Of course not. I tossed my phone on the couch and paced the room. Liam was in the kitchen, pretending not to watch me stress out, but I could feel his eyes. "She ghosted again?" he asked finally. She answered, sort of. "Let it go, man." "I want to," I said. "But don't you get it? I could have been in jail. I could have been on the news as some guy who broke into a house. And all because I trusted a girl with a fake name." "Exactly why you should let it go." He was right. I knew he was. But closure's a weird thing. Sometimes you think you need a full explanation to move on. Other times, you just want someone to acknowledge they messed up. Emily did that, in her own vague, broken way. A few days later, I got a call from a blocked number. I hesitated, then picked up. "Hello?" There was a pause, then her voice. "I didn't mean for you to get hurt." I didn't know what to say. It was her. Softer this time, less wild, like someone who had come back down from whatever high she was riding when I met her. "Why'd you bring me there?" I asked. "I needed to feel normal," she said. "I wanted to pretend for one night that I wasn't who I've become." "You knew I'd think it was your place." "I hoped you wouldn't ask." Silence. "You know your dad thought I broke in? He almost called the cops on me." "I know," he told me. "You lied to me." "I lied to myself too," she whispered. That one hit different. "Why now?" I asked. Why reach out after everything? Because I saw your face when I left. You looked like you actually cared. I didn't even know you, I said, trying to keep the bitterness down. I cared about the version of you you let me see, she sighed. That version was the only one I could offer. I didn't reply. What do you even say to something like that? I'm in treatment now, she added after a moment. I checked in 2 days ago. Real place this time, not just hiding. I let that hang in the air. Part of me didn't trust her. Another part wanted to believe she was finally trying. I hope you get better, I said. Me too. She hung up. And that was it. No dramatic apology. No fix. Just two broken people crossing paths at the wrong time in the wrong way. I didn't hear from her again. Not through texts. Not through calls. Not even in the news. Just silence. But I never forgot her, because that night taught me something. One decision, one person, one drink too many, can flip your life upside down. And sometimes the scariest part isn't waking up in a stranger's house. It's waking up to who you let yourself become.